And congratulations to the Bearcats. Of course, they're going to Division I championship, Division II championship, which will be played out at Sporting Park. Let's talk about our hot topics of the night. Blair Kerkhoff, how much confidence do you have right now in D4? He showed some flashes last week, just a couple little things. All of a sudden this week, he just took off. They made him the captain today. Where do you think he is?
Well, I had a terrific game today, no doubt about it. 3 sacks, and then the play at the end of the game where he was, defending Woodhead. A really nice game. But let's not mistake him for the person he replaced, right. Justin Houston. I mean, D Ford is a speed guy. His first 2 sacks were nothing but speed. He was on the side of the field where he was just so much quicker than the tackle that was supposed to be blocking him, and he got to the backfield. He did a great job today. But let's make no mistake, Justin Houston is needed for this team to be successful the rest of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And TJ, the fact that San Diego has a makeshift offensive line could handle him. But I think the reps and him getting more confidence certainly helps you out.
Exactly. I stole the words right out of my mouth. I think reps breed confidence, and he's finally getting them, which helps him. But I think also, too, as you mentioned, poor offensive line. That is the worst offensive line D Ford will play against maybe in his career. Look, I think that reps do breed confidence, but ultimately he's going to have to show that he can gain some consistency as he gets more and more reps, gets more and more trust from the coaches. And as he does, I think that he's going to continue to grow into a very good player. But as he himself mentioned today, he's just a player in the NFL who's trying to get better, and I think that those are reasonable goals for him. Let's not expect him to be Justin Houston just yet, but I do think that you saw some of the potential that John Dorsey and the coaching staff saw when they drafted him.
Sereni certainly has speed, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's got a really quick first step, and I think that's one of the things that everybody knew about him. The question is, can he play the run, and what does he do with some secondary moves? And I don't know that we got those questions answered today. One of his sacks was I like to call it an arrowhead sack. The crowd was loud and fired up, and the offensive tackle never came out of his stance. But give him credit, he's quick enough to get there before the quarterback can find an option and get rid of the ball. So I think it's important for the D Ford detractors, the D Ford haters, to recognize, don't get caught rooting for your pick. This guy took a big step today. He played very well in the pass rush. I think he even played some good downs against the run. And so it's a step. And now there's reason to believe that he could end up being the guy that you drafted him to be, and that's the eventual replacement for Tom Boal. So full speed ahead, get Justin Houston healthy, and now you got several guys that can provide a rush for this team.
Okay, we're going to switch subjects here real quick. Our second hot topic of the evening. Do you like the Royals' approach to free agency? TJ, what do you think? They haven't done a whole lot here. Put a little, a couple of relief pitchers together, but that's about it. They're sitting there right now.
Well, I think the Joakim Soria contract all of a sudden becomes a little bit more surprising, a little bit more odd, given the fact that Dayton Moore said that their payroll is going to stay around $113 million. If you don't dramatically increase your payroll the year you win the World Series, you're never going to do it. So I do think that, it's hard to knock their strategy because Dayton Moore hasn't made a bad decision when it comes to free agency or trade since he traded Jonathan Sanchez for Jeremy Guthrie in 2012. So it's hard to knock his track record over the last 3 years. That being said, my number one concern is that the market is increasing. We saw a huge bump in payroll around Major League Baseball in the mid-90s, and I think we're seeing an increase in the cost to do business in Major League Baseball, and the Royals are going to have to deal with that. They may not want to deal with that reality, but it seems like right now they're being priced out a lot of these conversations. Eventually they're going to have to sign a major contract, and I think this is an opportunity, a reasonable price tag for Alex Gordon. They could do it. If he goes to St. Louis for $75 million over 5 years, good luck, Kansas City.
Seren, what do you think?
Well, I think, look, the end game is a reality of when we'll know. 2 years from now, we'll know. Look, part of winning this offseason is understanding the market. And if the market is pricing itself beyond what players are worth, particularly when you're a small market team, you should sit it out. It means that there should be bargains to be had later, either later this year when we go into spring training. Remember, Chris Young was signed after they played 4 or 5 spring training games. Right. So this won't be over until they get into spring training. And if next year everybody's already tapped out on their cash and the Royals are able to go in and swoop up and pick up some bargains, then we're going to think of this year differently. So it's a little disappointing right now. I think at the end of the day, this could end up being the smart move, or it could be a sign that they're playing for the long haul and not just going for it right now.
Blair, are we still drunk on the World Series type thing and everything's rosy and they can do no wrong?
Well, I am. I don't know about you. But, hey, look, I think I saw this over the weekend that if the Royals did nothing else, they'd have 6 of their 9 position players returning, right, and 8 of their 11 pitchers from the World Series roster, and plus DH, plus reserve outfielders, that sort of thing. That to me automatically puts them in a very favorable position for next season. So I really don't quibble much with what Dayton Moore has done each of the last few seasons. When they've needed a right fielder, they've gone out and signed Aoki one year, Alex Rios the next, and now they're talking about getting a corner outfield innings from Dyson or Paulo Orlando. Look, Dayton Moore said they need a bat. They need a bat. They'll go out and get a bat, and I think they'll go out and get an arm as well. And maybe Scott Kazmir is that arm. We'll see. But I just don't question a lot of what Dayton Moore does these days. At least I don't quibble with it. He's made so many good moves to get this organization where it is right now that right. I'm just gonna, I really am. I'm interested to sit back and watch and see what he's got next.
Seren, Alex Gordon's still out there. He's been out there for a while. Hayward finally signed a big contract. He's off the list. So now they start moving up with everybody. What do you think? Longer he's out there, you think they have a chance, or we just sort of,
No, I mean, I suppose if the floor falls out from under and he gets down to 4 for $60 million, and I think you start to get into the Royals range. But as long as we're talking about 90, 100 million, 5 years, no, I think he's going someplace else, and I think that's the smart move for the Kansas City Royals. And look, we'd all like to see it happen, but this is reality. You're going to have to root for the name on the front of the jersey, Kansas City, not the name on the back.
Blair,
how about Chesler Cuthbert in left field next year? How does that there's that little rumor out there that, hey, it worked once, with Alex Gordon. Maybe Cuthbert can be the left fielder.
There we are. TJ?
Well, once again, I think that the price tag out there is reasonable. Jerry Krasnick thinks it's $75 to $80 million for Alex Gordon over 5 years. I think their squabble is mainly with the years and not the dollars.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Up next, going to get some final thoughts from the panel. It's their time to sound off on anything that's on their minds. You're watching Sunday Sound Off.